Welcome back, and what's up, space explorers and builders? Today we are diving into the latest and greatest in gaming. That's right, today we are talking about Space Engineers 2, and oh boy, this gameplay footage has got me hyped. Let's break down everything from the graphics to the groundbreaking building features that are about to redefine how we create in space. Trust me, you are going to love this. Let's just get into it. First things first, let's talk about the graphics, because the visuals that I'm seeing in this gameplay are just so smooth. We're talking buttery smooth frame rates. Even when you got a ton of interactable objects that you can see on the screen, you can now understand that the lighting engine is working wonders here. Because the shadows aren't just really placeholders, they're just very sharp, dynamic, and really are bringing depth to the structures that are being displayed in this video. And the interaction with the objects are absolutely seamless. For example, when your character moves around a structure or adjusts a component, it's very fluid. There's no lag, no jankiness in this video. That's a massive upgrade from the first game, where some of these interactables felt clunky at times. And whenever you see the characters scrolling across the video screen, you can see the interactables actually popping up, the tooltip popping up very smoothly. This is something else that I felt the original game lacked in, and I can tell that they really put thought and time into making this a useful detail. Now, if you're comparing, think about how games like No Man's Sky has improved its visuals over time. Space Engineers 2 feels like it's taken that level of polish and pushed it even further into the realm of realism. Every shadow, every light source, it's all seems to be calculated really beautifully, making you feel immersed in the infinite expanse of that space, and you can really feel the depth around you in terms of just how vast space is just by sitting inside of the station. Alright, so builders, this is where things are going to get real juicy for you, especially the mainstream people who have grown and loved playing this game for the long term, because Space Engineers 2 doesn't seem like it's just evolving. It looks like it's kind of revolutionizing the way that they are building the mechanics for the blocks themselves. So let's look at the features. For example, the fracturing of each block when damaged. This is adding just a whole new level of realism to destruction. It's not just blocks disappearing into thin air, it's blocks shattering into smaller, jagged pieces, creating a chaotic but visually stunning spectacle to look at. Think of games like Besiege that master destruction mechanics, but now imagine that it's a space setting with realistic physics, and I mean, it just looks incredible. Then we have the undo and redo build features. So how many of us have made a mistake while building and wished for an instant redo? Well, Space Engineers 2 seems that they are making this dream a reality. It's a feature that not only saves time, but also encourages experimentation. If you mess up, no problem. You're going to be able to hit the undo and try again. Games like Planet Coaster and The Sims have nailed this kind of mechanic, and it's fantastic to see it here in a space engineering game. Of course, for those of us out there that really are neck deep into wanting things to be completely realistic, this might be a negative, but I think overall what they're doing here is, and I will repeat this multiple times in this session, is that they are making things easier for new players to learn the systems and the building. And well, staying on that topic, finally, the spray gun for coloring the entire structures. I thought this was absolutely genius. Instead of the tedious painting of one block at a time, you can now just unleash your inner artist and easily cover the entire structure with the colors that you are trying to do. this is just very fascinating for me, because before it was a very hard time going through trying to make these things happen. I mean, imagine creating vibrant, personalized designs that can be appreciated by everyone in the community. It's going to be functional and very fun, adding creative flair to engineering that it's often missing in other games that you see around. But here's the thing that I like the most about building here is the mechanics kind of mimic real-world engineering principles. The concept of modular construction, for example, it's used in assembling real spacecraft like the International Space Station. The ability to undo and redo mirrors the design process that engineers go through when solving problems. These are things that we are starting to see implemented into space engineers too. And even the fracturing mechanics, like that's a visual representation of a structure's integrity, a critical factor in like real life space design. And I really like how they are turning it into a more realistic concept of how these things can be put together and Lego block constructed in a sense. Now, I know I just covered how things are being created in a more realistic manner, but I feel that the third and final part of this is really the game changer for me, because I remember back in the day, it was very difficult sometimes to figure out how to get a ship off the ground. You had to learn all the various little components that had to be put in the correct order, and if they weren't done properly or with enough thrust, you weren't able to get off the ground. Of course, at some point you learn how to do this, and it kind of makes you a better builder at the game. However, I found this was a very difficult thing for new players to pick up, and I think it scared more off than it did keep them enthusiastically engaged with the game. So what I want to really get into at this point is the final thing, which is how Space Engineers 2's accessibility for everyone to get their hands on blueprints. And these aren't just blueprints on small scale. I find it to be blueprints at 3 different levels. And this is a feature which is going to be a game changer in terms of how people will want to stick with the game and play it even deeper than what it was in the original game itself. So first of all, you can look kind of at the first level. These are like complete ship blueprints from the community. So if you're new to the game or just want to get started quickly, you can pull a fully realized ship from the community boards on Steam or wherever they will have them saved, and you can just jump straight into action. This kind of reminds me of how Kerbal Space Program lets players share entire rocket designs, making the game more inviting to newcomers. Or even more so is Imperium Galactic Survival, which I played right after I tried Space Engineers 1 for the first time, and actually just loved how you could just borrow a complete tested blueprint off of Steam and you could build it. Now, what I didn't like about it was that ship in Imperium Galactic Survival just had to have components put on it. This is what I like about the detail in Space Engineers in consideration to these 2 games, is that you actually have to have the tank connected to the engine, to the oxygen creator. So everything has to be kind of put together properly. Whereas in Imperium Galactic Survival, you just had to put the component on the ship in a certain way. So Space Engineers 2 being able to access these blueprints is going to make it so much more enjoyable for new players to get into the game and actually start being productive. This is a very positive thing in my opinion. Kind of the second level that I'm trying to consider here is copying and saving a section of a structure to reproduce. So not the entire ship, but say if somebody wants to start learning how to create their own ships but can't quite figure out the ABCs of how to do it, there is now going to be a way that you can just copy that section of the ship and blueprint it. And then those people you can say, for example, this is how you put together an engine. You put the engine together with the tank and all the other components, blueprint it, give it to your friends, and now they can just attach that to whatever ship that they're trying to build. This is going to really streamline the way that people are creating stuff in game, and you're going to be able to, save these intricate parts, reuse them, and even modify them to fit your current projects. It's going to be like having modular building blocks, similar to what Factorio offers, but it's going to be on a much larger scale and more visually stunning scale as well, I would guess. The third level, I think, is going to be just total building structures from scratch to save and share with the community. Once again, this is going to be a reference going back to Imperium Galactic Survival. I know how people love to share and display these ships or bases that they build for people to use from Steam to blueprint and build in their own environment. Like, this is one of the most enjoyable parts of these type of games, and now it's going to be brought to Space Engineers 2, which is absolutely fabulous. I mean, for the hardcore builders, this is where you're going to shine. You're going to imagine crafting colossal space stations or fleets of unique ships, then sharing those with thousands of players worldwide. This is a level of sharing builds a vibrant community, much like that of like Minecraft, or as I was stating before, Imperium Galactic Survival, where just sharing stuff is one of the key parts of why people actually were playing the game. So to wrap this up, Space Engineers 2 looks like it's setting kind of a new standard for space building games, which is good. From its stunning graphics and seamless interactions to its innovative building mechanics and blueprints, accessibility, things such as this, the game seems to be, in my opinion, hitting all the right notes. It's a testament to how much the developers are kind of listening to the community and pushing the boundaries of what's possible inside their new engine, which is also a very positive addition to what's coming with this game. And from the perspective of how real this is, it's not just going to be a matter of fun, it's going to be a tool for learning. You're going to learn how these components are put together by these module blueprints, and I think it will help people streamline how much time it takes them to complete and craft these types of ships. So, I mean, what do you think? Are you as excited as I am? I mean, if you are, drop some comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more in-depth reactions and gameplay breakdowns. This was Nerdbird signing off. Keep building, and I will see you guys in space.